This lesson is a continuation of phase 3, and so if you have not, I highly recommend you check out the first 3 videos that I've provided on this breakdown of the get up. And for some context, I'm not going to say that if you do something differently than what I'm presenting here that it's wrong or incorrect. However, I will say that without the proper context of application, you're probably going to be missing some intention, and the intention involves the orientation of where you're moving and how you're moving. And so where we left off in lesson 3 was in this transition. So we have the bell. There's many different ways we can transition, but this third phase is in fact a transition because we're starting the exercise from a horizontal flat line position, and then we are building ourselves into a base, and then we are transitioning so that we can now go into a standing upright vertical. So you're transitioning from horizontal to vertical. And as I discussed in previous videos, from this position, most commonly, we're going to see a hip bridge or even an extended hip bridge. And I also discussed the difference in intention and presentation between what I would call performance art, which is more like dancing, and martial art, which has more to do with the function of fight or flight response ability. So if I'm looking for artistic, okay, this really extended bridge, and in fact I can extend that front leg out to even present a longer line, which is going to be more artistic. If I'm looking more for efficient function to move from point A to point B as effortlessly and as quickly as possible, then I'm not going to want to extend and move my center of mass so far from the base of support. Rather, I just want to create a little bit of space so that I have the ability to bring that here. And then in the third video, I also presented a completely different way to transition, which instead of basing and lifting the hips here, we have this switch here, and then we're coming into our base here. And in fact, that is probably new to you. It allows you to maintain contact of the hip with the ground. So from here, my hip is leaving the ground, whereas with this, my hip stays on the ground until I'm ready to base. Okay, so that's sort of the review of what has been covered up through the first 3 videos. And now in the 4th video, the most important part and the focus of this lesson is an area that I often see omitted, not done, and probably that's because the practitioner is unaware. And this is called the windshield wiper. So regardless of how you get into that lunge position, if it's here, okay, or if it's here, or maybe it's here, okay, regardless of how you get into that position, at this point, to complete this transition, as I'm raising my hand from the floor, I want to windshield wiper, okay, this rear leg. So the windshield wiper is the rotation of the hip, and that is a hip correction to get your hips to align in the same direction. So I want my hips to be aligned in the direction that I want to provide my effort, okay, which in this case is straight forward. Boom, so I can come up from there. What is most commonly done, if you're not aware of that windshield wiper, is we will see from here, once a person makes this leg sweep to make a wide base, which is appropriate, they're going to come up here. And so now we see the hips are facing different direction, and so that will require that this front foot steps over here. And then we're normally going to see from here to come back, base, and return back down to the ground. Again, I'm not saying that's wrong. What I am saying is it's not martial in its intention, because the whole idea of the martial art is that we have to face the force. We have to face the opponent. We have to face the challenge or the difficulty that is right in front of you. So the intention is right there, okay? The opponent that is directly across from me, when I'm here, as I come up, I want to be able to face. So my hips are going to be square, and that allows me to come straight up. So that's the windshield wiper. Putting this all together, so we have our hip escape, and now we're building ourselves up, keeping this knee frame, not allowing it to collapse. And now we're going to transition. I'll show it this way. As I raise my hand off the ground and shift completely to that front foot, I'm going to have that windshield wiper. Now my hips are facing the same direction, and I can complete the movement. We're going to reverse it. Here's a reverse windshield wiper. Okay, so important details about the windshield wiper. Now, in terms of your personal art, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. So for example, let's say that I do not windshield wiper, and I come up here, I can step here. Okay, I can also step back, windshield wiper, I can step here. Okay, so the lesson for today is when you're in this base, this wide base, you're gonna windshield wiper, and you're gonna correct your hips facing forward. Okay, so that's our fourth lesson in this sequence. And the next one is gonna be how do we bring everything back down to the ground, which is extremely important. If you're enjoying this series, like and save and share, and most importantly, engage. I welcome your input, your questions, your comments, requests. Even if you have something that you disagree and you want to challenge something that I'm presenting, by all means, I welcome your input, and stay tuned for the next lesson.